And with me today, I have Kristin Grayce McGary, who is an internationally recognized health and lifestyle alchemist, an author and speaker with nearly 30 years of experience helping people reclaim their health at the root level. Her work bridges functional medicine with mind body spirit integration, supporting deep, lasting healing rather than just symptom management. Kristen specializes in autoimmunity, functional blood chemistry, thyroid and gut health, and the emotional patterns that often underlie chronic illness. Known for her ability to connect the dots others miss, she helps clients decode symptoms, understand what their body is communicating, and take empowered practical steps towards vibrant health. Whether she's working with lab data, nutrition, plant medicine, or soul care, Kristin's approach is both intuitive and evidence informed, meeting people where they are and guiding them back into partnership with their body. Her work reminds us that healing isn't about fixing what's broken, but listening to what's being ignored. I love that. Hi, Kristin Grace. So lovely to have you here today.
Hi, Anu. Thanks so much for having me.
Amazing. So, Kristen, it'd be great for you to share a bit more about your own journey and what led you to this fascinating work that you do today.
Yes. It's an interesting story, and I think a lot of people in the healing arts, so to speak, may have a similar journey, except mine started when I was two.
Mm.
And I knew ever since I was very, very young that I wanted to be some kind of doctor. It's something that just lit me up. And when I was two, my parents took a picture of me using my aunt's stethoscope. She was a nurse. And so I knew she taught me you listen to the heart on the chest. But I was with my grandmother and I was listening to her pulses in the middle of her forearm. And they took a picture of me and they were kind of laughing. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Look at she's so cute. And later, I came to find out from working with a Tibetan Bon medicine man and teacher mentor that that's where the Tibetans take pulses.
Mm.
So even as a child, I was really connected to Asian medicine, Tibetan medicine, knowing that there are different ways to listen, to feel what's going on inside the body, the mind, and the spirit. In Asian medicine, we take pulses on the wrist, but we have 3 pulse points and 5 depths. It's remarkable.
It is.
And so I began my journey as a child, but I didn't have words for what was going on.
Mm.
And I was pre-med at the University of Arizona. I was a nationally board certified EMT. I was entering the Western medical realm and I got very, very ill.
Wow.
I had been a competitive bodybuilder, so I had starved my body. I was on, 600 calories a day,
Wow.
training for what seemed like a triathlon
Mm.
and bodybuilding and competing and drinking a lot of diet right soda with chemicals that would injure my brain and cause inflammation. I had mercury dental fillings. I had unresolved trauma. I had a really bad car accident. I had a lot of stuff going on in my world.
Yeah.
And I started to develop symptoms and no one could figure it out. The doctor said, go see a therapist. It's all in your head. The
Mm.
therapist would send me back to the doctor saying, there's a serious problem. You're not listening.
Mm.
And I spent tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
I also, at that time, no judgment, became a single mom.
Yeah.
And during my pregnancy, all my symptoms disappeared and I got some relief.
Wow.
And
Okay.
after that, I entered Asian medical school. I transitioned and I had the final episode of symptoms just as I entered school. So I had been on this quest of healing and discovering, peeling off these layers of trauma. I found out I had genetic celiac disease and genetic lactose intolerance. I had amalgam mercury fillings in my mouth, and I was having neurological symptoms that matched mercury toxicity. I had pain points all over my body. I was diagnosed formally by a rheumatologist with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. So there, I could sleep 16 hours a day and still be exhausted and riddled with pain, migraines, TMJ pain, all these trigger points. It was miserable. But now I have this baby.
Mm.
And I was very determined. I had a bit of type A personality back then, and I was going to figure this out because my son depended upon me solely. And so I began the journey of self discovery and self inquiry in a new way. Western medicine didn't have answers for me. So I was guided to Asian medicine, osteopathic medicine, advanced cranial sacral therapy, somato emotional release, EMDR, homeopathy. I started using electrodermal screening to discover what layers were coming up to be released and transformed in my body. For example, mercury toxicity and unresolved viruses. I found out I had Epstein-Barr virus, all sorts of things. So as I healed, I realized this is what I need to do. I started studying German biological medicine, and it was a significant part of my healing. I later found functional blood chemistry analysis, and even there, naturopaths weren't ordering the right labs for me. They were missing huge details. So I dove into that. I mastered it over many, many years. I wrote a book about it to inform healthcare providers, but also the average person, consumers of healthcare. I believe knowledge is power. So I went on this incredible journey to heal myself. And I have had zero symptoms of fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue for at least 27 years, at least.
Wow. That is amazing.
That's what got me here. That's what motivated me
Yeah,
to share everything I have learned and went to school for with others to help them alleviate their suffering.
exactly. Yeah. And you often say that symptoms are messages, not problems. So how can my listeners now begin to decode what their body is actually telling them?
Yes, it's such a great question. It's exciting because it's a different kind of question than what typical medicine asks. It's very typical medicine looks at the body like machinery. And
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that view. It's just partial. And when we're in that paradigm, we're looking at symptoms as problems
yeah.
instead of looking at the whole picture and what these symptoms may be sharing. So I believe that these symptoms are a language of the unconscious. Even a hangnail means something. Something isn't being addressed properly in the unconscious, and the body speaks the mind. The body shares symptoms of stress and imbalance. So listening means slowing down. I call it a pause at times, slowing down and recognizing various stressors in our lives or old habits or patterns that no longer serve us. For example, drinking certain things, eating certain things, our habits of self-care or lack of self-care. Our bodies can start to speak and say, hey, you're not paying attention. You're chronically dehydrated. You're eating inflammatory foods. Your immune system is dysregulated. The body can start to speak, hey, your thyroid's off. Your hormones are off. Oh, you have uterine fibroids or cysts, or your hormones are up and down, or your blood sugar might be up and down. So your moods are up and down. You might have depression. The body can really show us. And sometimes we don't have the training or the skills to properly decipher the codes of our body. We have to learn or hire healthcare practitioners that really get it and are very well trained and experienced to work as a team. I believe in empowerment, right? I don't want you to give me all your power. And yet, I have insight in almost 30 years of experience that you may not have around your health and your emotional well-being and your energetic field or your toxic load. So I can help you decipher those things. And then we work as a team to help you level up.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Amazing. And so, what do you think, or why do you think that so many people actually feel distressed or confused when they actually deal with chronic or autoimmune symptoms?
Well, it's interesting that you use the word confusion. in
Mhm.
that question, because autoimmune issues or full-blown autoimmune diseases is a type of confusion. It's a confusion in the immune system. When someone is diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, that means a lot of tissue damage has already happened. What an autoimmune disease is the body has been confused and mistakenly identified or targeted an organ, a gland, a joint, a body part for destruction. It thinks it's a bad guy, like a virus or something, and it goes after it to kill it. That's what an autoimmune disease is. Now, people can have autoimmunity, and that's a pre-disease state, which I love finding because I can help you avoid suffering with a chronic degenerative disease, hopefully. So I had an autoimmune disease. It was part of the fibromyalgia picture and chronic fatigue picture, but it wasn't properly diagnosed yet. And it took a couple more years to get an understanding of what was going on and how my body was expressing itself through an autoimmune disease. And I had unresolved trauma in my system. And there was a part of me, not a conscious part, an unconscious part that was in fight mode and kill mode in order to survive because of some traumas that had happened to me when I was younger. And so I had to begin working with these younger parts and unraveling the old trauma that was locked in my nervous system. And there were many, many tools I used for that. So the body is speaking. When someone has autoimmunity, they often don't know until things are bad enough that they get a diagnosis. And I know plenty of people who've been misdiagnosed. They haven't been told they have an autoimmune disease, and I find it. So and that some people think it's very scary, and it can be initially, but I get really excited and hopeful because information is power. And if we can identify an autoimmune issue, we can address it. If it's hidden, it's more difficult to address. So we can address the physical, the biochemical aspects of it, the immune dysfunction, and the emotional, spiritual aspects of it. And this then puts the power back into your hearts and your minds and your body so that real healing and transformation can take place. And this impacts not just yourself, but your partner and your family and your work and your community.
Amazing, thank you. And so, what's one common symptom that people normalize that actually deserves much deeper attention?
Oh, I love this question, Anu. Thank you. It's tricky. I think fatigue.
Fatigue, yeah.
I think fatigue is one of the top symptoms people dismiss.
Yeah,
Fatigue. I think another symptom that people dismiss is blood sugar instability. They may be getting hangry. Have you ever heard that term, hangry, hungry and angry?
the
Right?
time.
They may be getting hangry. Some people don't realize that they're having insulin spikes and drops and blood sugar challenges until I look at their lab, and then I can find it right away. But
Wow.
if you're feeling crashes, ups and downs, and you're craving sugar, or you're craving sweets or carbs, you're craving caffeine or uppers uh, because you're tired, this is very, very important to address the underlying root of fatigue and blood sugar instability. I would say next would be sleep issues.
Mm.
People who aren't sleeping, they're like, yeah, I'm just not a good sleeper. I just don't sleep very deeply. No, I only need 4 hours of sleep. I'm fine. This is a really serious problem.
Yeah.
Our longevity is directly connected to several variables. Sleep is one of them.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow, love that. Thank you. And so, yeah, I love that fatigue and sleep. Yeah. They're the common things that people complain about all the time. And yeah. So I want to understand as well about the emotional patterns and any kind of unresolved stresses that could actually show up in the body over time.
What to ask me more?
Yeah, also when we're talking about the emotional roots of illnesses, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we know that stress or chronic stress is definitely a big contributor to illness. But in terms of actual how we experience that in the body. Like, what would be the telltale signs of
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Great question. And it can be individualized. It can depend on our nutrition, our lifestyle, our genetic predisposition. It can be important variables to consider. So, not everyone will express stress in the same way. Some people, it will be fatigue. Some people, it will be rapid aging or joint inflammation and pain. And people sum it up, oh, I'm over 50. It's normal. I'd
Mm.
say no, it's not normal. We can age with more grace and less pain.
Yeah.
So what happens, people don't understand. And boy, if there are people in their 20s and 30s listening, please listen up because you feel strong and mighty now, but it's going to catch up. What
Mm.
happens is there's a cumulative effect of how we take care of ourselves, how well we're hydrating, what are we eating? If we're drinking alcohol at all, it's a toxin and it will impact our longevity and our health. If we are not exercising yet and you're in your 20s, get on it now
Mm.
because your muscle development now determines how you will age, your bone density, how your brain will function, and much more.
Mm.
So it's hard to say what is the standard general, but I can give you a couple of ideas. So anxiety and depression can be markers of stress, chronic stress, or acute stressful situations. We can have bouts of depression and anxiety. Fatigue is another one. Brain fog. When I am stressed, my brain doesn't work well. It would not be a good time for a podcast interview because I would not be able to articulate things well. I start to lose my words when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And so we can start to feel brain fog and like our brain's not working so well. It's more difficult to learn things when we're stressed.
True.
Another component could be self-soothing patterns. When we're stressed, we might want an extra glass of wine. We might want an extra Twinkie or donut. We might need extra coffee. We
Mm.
might want a Snickers bar. We might want to engage in self-soothing behaviors with food and substances that are not healthy and life-giving.
Mm.
They actually make the stress worse because we're adding biochemical stress onto an emotional stress. It's like a double whammy. So now you're not only dealing with the emotional stuff, but now you've got blood sugar regulation issues, you've got toxins in your body. It's even worse. So
Yeah.
some people, their strategies of self-soothing are not balanced and healthy and cause more stress. So then we start to cycle and we get trapped in this cycle of stress and it's difficult to get out of it.
Yeah. Can
Some
imagine.
people it's shopping, right? If you're like, I want to go shopping. For me, I like clean floors. So when I'm super stressed, I'm cleaning. Not such a bad strategy to have a clean house.
Mm.
And it's my signal, it's my flag
Mm.
to take some deep breaths and do some of my own practices to regulate my nervous system. Then I'm cleaning my house with a different kind of motivation. It's not anxious stress motivation. It's been down regulated. And now I'm cleaning because it needs to be clean, not because I'm freaking out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it's all about regulating that nervous system.
Yes. So important. People don't realize
It is.
how essential a
Mm.
regulated nervous system is, especially in the world right now.
Yeah.
Can I share a couple of ways that I help regulate my nervous system and that I
Yeah.
teach patients? Because I think this is really, 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 really key, and everyone needs this. Even if we think we're really balanced, do these things anyway. You're going to feel different, and sometimes you don't know that your nervous system was upregulated until you do some of these things, and you're like, oh, I thought I was managing things really well. And
Yeah.
now I'm more down regulated and I feel so different.
Wow.
When you're down regulated, you digest your food better. Your hormones are more balanced. You utilize sugar in your blood, and insulin more effectively. You Your immune system is more balanced. It impacts everything. So a couple of things I do. One is time in nature.
Nice.
Get out in nature without your phone. Get your feet on the ground. If it's winter, go for a walk, go snowshoeing. If you can, hug a tree, literally go touch a tree. Go sit with your back up against a tree. Get your feet in the ocean if you live by the ocean or by a pond. Go take a walk and sit on a rock next to the river. If you live in a big city, go find a park with some grass. Even if it's snowing, go to the park. It's different. There's just a different energy. Get out in nature. And what I do when I'm out in nature is I breathe mindfully, and then I literally look for and ask for my body, my field of resonance, which is measurable in science, by science, to attune to the resonant field of nature, of the divine, which is also measurable. The earth is measured at a particular hertz frequency, and nature is too. So I ask and feel into and intend my system to be regulated by nature, and I feel changes. This down regulates my nervous system. So that's one. Two is sixfold, if I may. Two is what I learned from Dr. Darren Weissman, a dear friend of mine from the Lifeline Technique out of Chicago. And I add a couple of things to his acts of self-love. So his acts of self-love plus a few of mine are water. So hydrate, drink water. We're not drinking enough water. Chronic dehydration leads to chronic disease. Food, choose healthy foods, proteins, fats, vegetables, not a bunch of sugar, processed food, anything in a bag. Avoid those things. Water, food, rest. Rest is different than sleep. Sleep is important, but how often do we rest? Where we lean back, we pick up a book, we lean back, we have a cup of tea, and we just be without social media, without a movie, without a phone, and we're just resting. Water, food, rest, exercise, working out. Are people moving their body? The least you can do is go for a brisk walk and get 10,000 plus steps in a day. That's the least. I want to see people go into the gym. Both men and women need muscle. Muscle is another variable to longevity. So exercise is so important. It's also important for our brains to function. People have brain fog and they feel like their memory's going. I get them exercising right away. They got to move. And what research shows us is that the people that are exercising have fewer incidents of cognitive disorders. That's pretty cool. So we have water, food, rest, exercise. Next would be owning your power. People might say, what does that mean? Well, to me, that means owning your yeses and your nos. How many of you listening are yes people at work or yes people in your relationships? And you give and you give. Hey, mamas out there, I'm talking to you. I'm a mama and a grandmother, right? We give and we give and we give, and we don't take care of ourselves. So we're not owning our power by doing this. It actually takes our energy away so we can show up less efficiently and effectively. So owning your power is discerning your yes and your no's. So I discern where I'm going to put my energy, and I own my power by lovingly saying no so that I can take care of myself. And I lovingly say yes to things that I want to participate in that bring me joy. This is owning our power with our yeses and our nos. And the next act of self-love is joy and laughter. Where do you find joy and go get it? Is it in art? Is it in theater? Is it in reading? Is it in a hot bath with Epsom salts and candles? Is it in a decadent 90% piece of chocolate not full of garbage? Is it in connecting with a best friend? Is it in listening to a certain kind of music or reading a book of poetry? Is it going to a nightclub and laughing hilariously at a comic? What brings you joy? Is it hugging your grandchildren? Is it walking in nature? Is it holding hands with your partner? What is it? Is it journaling? what brings you joy and go do it, especially if it's healthy. If what brings you joy is drinking a box of wine, right? That may not be it, right? That may be a dysfunctional way that you're tricking yourself into thinking you're doing something good for yourself and it brings you joy. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, what are your passions? Go after them. Do something that brings you joy. And laughter. Do something that makes you laugh. Surround yourself with people who make you laugh. And next would be relationships. For me, acts of self-love are also where I'm putting myself in community or in the relational space. And for me, an act of self-love is relating with people in a healthy way and surrounding myself with people who love and adore me.
Yeah.
They may also challenge me in a loving way so that I continue to grow. But I do not surround myself with people who put me down, judge me harshly, call me names, are cruel, rude, disrespectful. If people are sarcastic and I walk away from that interaction with heaviness in my heart, guess what? They're not my friend. They're not in my inner circle.
Mm.
So I'm very mindful, as an act of self-love, my relational spaces. And I don't allow myself to be in spaces where it's not a high vibration and it doesn't feel good to my heart. I upgrade my friends, and I do it in a loving way as I'm growing. And friends will fall away. And I also don't do obligatory family. I do family that's loving and respectful. That's how I do family. And if they're not loving and respectful, I lovingly decline.
Mm.
So these are a good handful of acts of self-love that are a bigger part of the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just heard boundaries, boundaries, boundaries screaming right at me there.
Yes,
That's
yes, yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's also a way we start to shift our archetypal belief patterns.
Mm.
If we're in victim mode, which is not bad,
Yeah.
sometimes it's necessary. We can embody the victim for a time. This is normal. It's when we get stuck and we lack the self-awareness that we're in victim that it can be a problem. And it's boundaries and empowerment that can shift us from victim to victor.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, I love that. So, I mean, this is all great, and I just wanted to kind of go back to your work around functional blood chemistry, because first of all, how does that differ from standard laboratory work?
Oh, this is such a great question.
Mm.
I'm very passionate about this because it
Oh,
really saved my life. It
oh,
really like shifted my health pattern because I had no idea what was going on. And it was really the FBCA that was one of several huge factors in me healing.
okay.
There are several differences. So first of all, I liken lab markers to a 10,000 piece puzzle of our health, of your health. And if those lab markers, if those puzzle pieces are turned upside down, we can't see them. So we cannot address them.
Mm.
So when I order a lab, I'm ordering more markers than average, even an average functional doctor or an average naturopath orders, because I want to turn as many of those puzzle pieces over to look at them so that I can help you put your health puzzle together properly. So that's one. The number of markers I order is very different. It's more comprehensive. Second would be, you know, those reference ranges on the side of your lab
Hmm.
that your doctor looks at and compares your lab markers, your results to these reference ranges. Do
Yeah.
you know where those come from?
Oh.
Oh my gosh. It's so cool. I write about this in my book
Yeah.
on functional blood chemistry analysis. It's called Know Your Blood, Know Your Health.
Right.
They come from mostly sick people.
Oh my
So
God.
each lab will take maybe 10 people that come in to get their labs done, usually because they're ill and their doctor said to go get their lab done.
Yeah.
And these become our new reference ranges and our new quote unquote normals.
Wow.
And they are not mandated to update those ever. They
Wow.
could be 20 years old, or they could come from a lab test insert or a medical book that's 25 years old.
Right.
That's not based on highly functioning, healthy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when your doctor says everything looks normal, you are being compared to mostly sick people. So normal does not mean healthy. It does not necessarily mean vibrant
No.
and free of imbalance. So my reference ranges are more narrow. So I
Mm.
can catch things that other docs are missing, even functional docs. I just had someone send me their labs that a functional doc did, and he did fairly well. He missed about 20 markers that I would want to see, but he did better than average in what he ordered, which I was happy to see.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of details he missed.
Wow.
When I talked to that patient, he was like, oh, I hadn't heard that before. Oh, yeah, I heard this. Oh, I haven't heard that. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
The next piece that is different from an average lab, your Western medical physician or naturopath or functional doc would order, the next difference are the patterns that I'm looking for.
Mm.
Very often, isolated markers are looked at, like TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is the standard of care by endocrinologists. Sometimes they'll only order that,
Yeah.
but that doesn't give me hardly any information. I want to see 9 more markers of thyroid health.
Yeah.
9. Most endocrinologists are not even trained to understand how they work together and why they're important.
Right.
Because the system says the standard of care is if TSH is off, you give a hormone, a synthetic hormone like Synthroid, a medication. They are not interested. They're not taught to ask the question, well, why is TSH off?
Yeah.
That's not how the Western medical system is created, or the pharmaceutical system, or the health insurance care system.
Mm.
And so that can be a real problem. Next would be, say, cholesterol. And if we're just looking at total cholesterol and we're not looking at all these other inflammatory markers in a full cholesterol panel and lifestyle and nutrition and probably 6 other markers, we're only getting a tiny snapshot. And
Interesting.
I wrote this in the book. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, a cholesterol issue is not a true cholesterol issue. It's an
Mm.
insulin resistance issue. It's a blood sugar issue. That's
Wow.
a pretty significant difference. So taking Lipitor is
Yeah.
going to bring your cholesterol down, sometimes too much, which is bad for your brain. Now
Mm.
we're setting you up for cognitive disorders later. And it doesn't address the blood sugar,
No,
which
exactly.
is the root. So I look for patterns. I look for inflammatory patterns. I look for other patterns. And that's unique to functional blood chemistry analysis. Not a lot of docs are doing that. So that's different.
That is different. Yeah. And so what's your takes on, doctors are so obsessed with cholesterol levels being below 5. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but what's your takes on that?
Well, it's interesting. So cholesterol, I'll speak from the US North American standards because our numbers are going to be different than yours.
Mm.
And I do work with people all over the world and I translate
Excellent.
those. So before Lipitor, a cholesterol drug, the
Mm.
statins, basically the statin drugs, before they came on the market,
Yep.
our standard of care around cholesterol markers on a lab in North America, in the US, was 400.
Right. Mm.
But when that drug came on the market, it changed the markers to be 200 because they wanted to sell the drug. So pharmaceutical companies have a say in what we call averages and standards of care with our lab results.
Okay.
So if someone has a cholesterol of 200, I'm not necessarily freaking out because I do an hour and a half intake and
Mm.
I know what they're eating and I'm looking at genetic predispositions and I know their lifestyle and I'm ordering a lab that's telling me more than just cholesterol.
Yeah.
So I can discern if it is a true cholesterol issue, what would be the next best step to take. Now, some people, if they have a cholesterol of 500, may need to take one of those cholesterol drugs. And I'm not afraid to work as a team with other Western medical physicians or naturopaths or functional docs to get medication to people if they need them.
Mm.
What's been missing is working with the underlying pattern that created that problem in the first place.
Mm.
And this is another difference in the functional blood chemistry analysis that I offer. I do an extensive history. I have 20 some pages of intake forms, and I spend time with people. So I'm looking at biochemistry, but I'm also listening to their life.
Yeah.
I'm listening to how their body's been expressing itself, how their relationships are, how their acts of self-care are, how are they feeding themselves?
Mm.
What's their job like? What are their kids up to? And this gives me a much fuller picture so I can better understand how to guide someone from symptoms and stressors into thriving. And a lot of even functional docs don't do that. They're using wonderful AI systems, and they plug in someone's labs and it spits out all the markers and it says, this is green and this is yellow and this is red. And here's a sheet of all the supplements you need to balance this, but it's not necessarily individualized.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
may be individualized according to their biochemistry, sort of, meaning everyone who has this should take vitamin D. Okay, I'll go with that. But not everyone who has that should take that herb or supplement. Let's look at their life. And is this genetic? Is this lifestyle? Are they having nutritional issues? What's going on unconsciously that they're self-sabotaging with junk food and too much caffeine and alcohol every day?
Yeah. So
So,
true.
we're looking at these bigger pictures.
Mm.
So cholesterol is tricky. And I think people need to be informed and ask more questions before they take a drug.
Mm.
Instead of just trusting this is really what's good for me, ask more questions, be an informed consumer. I actually have a chapter I wrote in my Know Your Blood, Know Your Health book on functional blood chemistry analysis on how to speak to your healthcare provider to enroll them in a team playing kind of relationship so that you're also empowered and you're asking questions and you're wanting their area of expertise and you want to build a team
Yeah.
so that you have all of your bases covered
Yeah.
and you're supported so you can really thrive instead of just a quick fix that will have consequences later.
Exactly.
Does
Exactly.
that answer your question?
It does. Thank you so much. That's amazing. So what would you say are some of the early signs that the gut is out of balance that people tend to ignore?
Yeah. Gut health is connected to brain health. Depression and anxiety those are big ones.
Oh.
Fatigue, gas, bloating,
Mhm.
burping, acid reflux, constipation, diarrhea of any kind. Some people come to me and they say, my bowels are normal. I said, well, what's normal for you? Oh, I go like twice a week. I'm like, whoa, my friend, that
Wow.
is actually not normal.
Nope.
I want you pooping twice a day. I want you pooping for every meal. That's sometimes 3 times a day.
Wow.
If you're only pooping every other day, that's considered constipation in my world. If you have loose stools every day or every other day, or explosive diarrhea, I have a dear, dear friend who has explosive diarrhea every day because he's eating foods that create inflammatory bowel disease.
Right.
So
Interesting.
these are signs we don't think about. We think, oh no, that's normal, or getting bloated or just being bloated. Ladies, do you have bloat all the time? You got something going on in your gut. Something's off.
Exactly.
If it feels like you get acid reflux and you need to take antacids, believe it or not, it's probably the opposite. More often than not, I find people that have acid reflux actually have low acid, and it changes the pH of your stomach, which changes that whole chamber. So then the little flap that would normally keep the acid in your stomach opens
Mm.
because there's like the pressure is off because of low stomach acid. So that flap comes up, then you just need one drop of acid up there, and it's like acid reflux, horrible, horrible, ouch.
Yeah.
And you take antacids, to cure it, to heal it, to help it. And it's actually a low acid problem. If you take betaine HCl, hydrochloric acid, in a supplement and you learn how to do it, I teach people how to do the HCl test. More often than not, it cures acid reflux. And now you're able to better digest your food and absorb it, and you get more from your nutrients. So these are some of the things that I find are a sign that your gut is off. I will also add immune dysfunction. If you have environmental allergies, your gut is off. I have yet to meet an environmental allergy that I couldn't help or almost totally alleviate by healing the gut, because your gut is the seat of immune function.
Interesting.
So about the throne. So about 75% of immune function comes from the gut. So if you have immune issues and you have allergies, if you have autoimmunity or an autoimmune disease, you have gut issues of some kind. And people don't equate that. People think, oh, no, I'm just allergic to grass, or I get hay fever, or I'm this, or I'm that. No, it's actually stems from the gut usually.
Wow.
There are some exceptions, but usually.
Wow. What a fantastic reference point there, because you just wouldn't even put the two together.
Right.
Thank
Exactly.
you. Yeah, amazing. So many of listeners will obviously be feeling exhausted by conflicting health advice. What, in your words, how would they be able to simplify and trust their own process?
It is a learning process. And there is some refinement of how to listen to your body and own your power.
Yeah.
And how to work with different healthcare providers in a team fashion. And if it feels good and it's working and you're getting results, great. If it's not, don't continue. Now, that doesn't mean give up after 2 weeks of difficulty. But if you've been seeing the same person for 2 years and you haven't had any results, it's time to find a different person.
Yeah.
And I hear this a lot, but I really like them and they're so nice. Well, you haven't gotten results. And you've spent all this money on supplements that haven't helped you. So they've missed something. Often there's a block of healing to healing, which is the topic of my third book, that people have missed. So they do all the right things in the wrong order.
Okay.
And they don't get better because they didn't release the block first. So in order to really be empowered, we have to practice. And sometimes we make mistakes to learn. So I've chosen healthcare providers that couldn't help me. They did their best. They were good people. And I worked with them for a while until everything in me said, oh, I'm done here. And I honored that instead of feeling obligated in some way. I like to look for people that want to work on a team, that are open-minded and open-hearted. And there are Western medical physicians out there that get that. They care about their patients. And there are naturopaths as well, and functional docs as well. And equally so, there are some that are egoic and they want to know it all and they think they know it all. And that's okay, but those just aren't my providers. And so I like to interview doctors. I like to teach people to interview doctors on their health insurance plan, or if you have a national health care system, you can say no to a doctor. You can say, no, that actually doesn't feel good to me. I'm going to find someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So it takes some practice.
Yeah.
It takes finding more people like me to get educated, right? So you're empowered with knowledge, with information, so you can make more discerning choices.
Beautiful. Thank you. So what does vibrant health truly feel like then, when someone is aligned physically, emotionally, and energetically?
Yes. I love this question. Thank you. Vibrant health to me is more than the absence of disease. So some people think, oh, I don't have a diagnosed disease, therefore I'm healthy. But that's not good enough for me. No. Vibrant health means you have a level of resiliency. It means things can happen in your world and it doesn't throw you off. Stressors can happen, accidents can happen, and you may have a process, but then you're in your center. It doesn't throw you into a horrible situation for months. So resiliency is part of vibrant health. how you deal with your emotions, how you process your emotions. I believe feeling is healing. So if there are old emotions locked in the system or the body, those need to be felt and moved through the system. And then as current things arise, we feel them. We can speak them, name them without blame or shame, just face value. I feel, and this hurt.
Mm.
And I'm owning my power through that. I believe that's a kind of emotional health. How we work with the stories in our mind and our beliefs. Are we married to all of our beliefs? Because in my world, if I believe something, I was taught that, which I believe. What I think, I was taught. And not everything I learned was true. Now, I may think it's really true, but am I open enough to sit in curiosity around myself and my own beliefs and thought patterns? Can I be curious enough to then see there may be a place where I could grow and evolve in myself and maybe in a relational space or a business place? So that is another expression of vibrant health, is being able to look within and sit in curiosity and not just think we know it all. Or this is my experience, I believe this is true, and therefore it is. Maybe. Another aspect of health is empathy and compassion for others. Are we sitting in judgment all the time? Are we judging harshly? And if so, then I'm looking at myself. That doesn't feel like it's balanced. I'm looking at where are my unmet needs, what's going on with my younger parts that I feel I have to judge someone else in order to feel better or put someone down. And we have this a lot. Our culture, at least in North America, is quite judgmental. And I think I've spent some time in the UK. I lived in France for a bit. They are not free of judgment.
No.
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 So this is also a part of what I would call vibrant health. I'll also name that vibrant health is not about perfection.
Okay.
It's about building the capacity to ebb and flow, to learn and grow, to modify and shift as each situation and day requires. Am I so locked into a way of being, eating, seeing, feeling, thinking that I am strict and I have no ability to morph and change based on what's being presented to me in that moment? That doesn't feel very vibrant or healthy to me.
True.
And so there's not just resiliency, but a capacity to shift and grow, a capacity to feel into each moment or each day and look at what's needed for the highest good of myself and others. There's a level of vibrant health there that can be developed over time. And I strive for that. And I teach others to strive for that. So it's important. All of this can sound very, ideological and, oh, that's grandiose. Oh, that's all about being perfect, but it's not. We've got to make mistakes to grow. It's not about perfection, but it is about our capacity to deal with adversity as part of building resiliency, as part of vibrant health. Of course, nutrition is part of that. Of course, hydration is part of that. Of course, exercise is part of that, and sleep is part of that. But there's more.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Wow, it's been such an honor covering so many varied topics with you today. And I just wanted to ask as well about, the work that you're doing. Are you seeing patients virtually or is it in person?
Both. Yes, I do many different things, and I love it all. I love I love how I get to flow and explore these different realms with people. So yes, I do see people virtually. and I do functional blood chemistry analysis all over the world. And I also see people in person, and I see people in private retreats and in medium-sized retreats as well. And sometimes I travel to the US and Europe and other places and see patients
Mhm.
and do one-on-ones there. I'm going to Colorado this week, actually, and I'll see some patients there. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I work in different ways so that more people can access me. I live in Costa Rica most of the time
Mm.
and in the US a little bit. And I love people to come here and do retreats with me because I've created a mini regenerative retreat place it's a sanctuary, and it's on a river in the jungle, and the elements here are so healing, and it's a digital detox, and I'm growing food here, and I do all of the magic here also, but
Mhm.
the environment itself is incredibly therapeutic. I've built a beautiful temple place and a place to gather in community, and uh there are accommodations on the land, and the river flows the entire stretch of my land, and there are many places where you can actually get in the river and sit on rocks being warmed by the sun and pick fresh fruit from the trees that are right next to you, and it's a very special place, and it's not secluded, but it feels secluded. So there's a town 25 minutes away, and we can get our all the things we really need for comfort, and but there's something magical about this particular area of Costa Rica, and many people speak this when they come here. It's also a tourist destination because of that. And it's right near Mount Chiripo, which is the tallest mountain in Costa Rica that many people like to hike. And it's just a very well preserved, gorgeous place in Costa Rica. We have multiple national parks right next door. So there are corridors where animals and birds are coming through that are unique to Costa Rica. And it's just exquisite. So I do work online, and I love people coming here.
Oh, I love that. Amazing. And so where can my listeners find you?
Yes, probably my website is the best place. And it's my name, and I'll spell my name because my name, and maybe you have show notes you can put it in.
Yeah.
My name is spelled a little differently than how it sounds. So KristinGrayceMcGary.com,
Yeah.
KristinGrayceMcGary.com. And on my website, there is a free optimal wellness consultation that I offer your listeners. I offer people to get a feel, and we can ask each other questions and see if we're a good fit to work together and in which way may be best for us to work together. I
Mm.
also have free recipes, and I have tons of blogs on many different health topics. And right now they're free. Although I will be beginning a membership program soon, they're currently free so people can access information and become more empowered. I have many different videos on my website as well about retreats and all sorts of things. So that's
Oh,
a good place to start.
it is. Yeah. Fantastic. I will be dropping in the link in the show notes. Yeah. So it's been so amazing talking to you today. Thank you so much. You're just
Thank
amazing,
you.
and you've got such beautiful energy as well.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate how you're impacting the world by interviewing me and others to empower people. Thank you.
Thank you. So, my beautiful people, hope you enjoyed the show, and please do reach out to lovely Kristin Grayce if you do have any questions about anything that was discussed today. I am sure she would be honored to hear from you. So, until the next episode, stay blessed, my friends, and I look forward to serving again.